What's poppin', world? Back at it again with another video for y'all. Y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. All right, I ain't finna make this a long video. We just gonna get straight to it. So last week had my very first experience with the triples and doubles. Why to assemble a set of doubles for this little LA run I had to do. You feel me? And I just wanna go ahead and go over the process with y'all as far as like those that have truck drive and interested into getting your doubles endorsement, the whole process. And I know there's tutorials on YouTube where people showing you firsthand on how to assembling them, right? But I'm just about to tell y'all the step by step, the simplified version, because people just sitting up there, they giving you all these technicalities and stuff like that. Well, we don't want to hear that. I didn't come here for that. Y'all came here for the nitty gritty, how to do it the right way, right? So first thing you do, you identify your first two trailers. The number one thing you do after you decide to discover where your first two trailers at, which one is the heaviest one, because that's the one that has to be attached to the truck first, and then the lightest one goes behind that one, right? So once you discover your heaviest load, you pick up the second load, the lightest trailer, you pick it up first, and you drive it far, far, far away until you get to a dolly, right? And a dolly, y'all can look on YouTube or Google, y'all understand the dolly. So the dolly has two wheels in the front, and it's like this little hook thing that's attached to the wheel. It looks like I don't know, it's a dolly. It's two wheels. It kind of looks like not like a dang, how can I describe it? Not like a unicycle, but it's two wheels, and there's like a little triangle thing that comes outside of the two wheels, right? So at the end of the triangle, there's a little ring, right? And the ring goes into the back of the trailer. And then sitting on top of the triangle, there's a fifth wheel that goes into the second trailer. And this is how you connect both trailers from the first one to the second one, right? So you pick up your second load, you drive, you drop it right off, and you line it up symmetrical, right? Symmetrical, and you give yourself 100 feet. And then you go back, you get your first trailer, you hook up to your first trailer, and then you bring it over to where the second trailer is at, but the second trailer is lined up near the dollies. You take the ring, you disengage the air brakes, the emergency brakes, because it has its own emergency brake system, right? So you hit that button, now the wheels are able to move. And that mug is heavy, right? But it takes some technique, and then, you got to put your back into it. No more. You feel me? So what you do is you go over, you push the wheel, you hook it in, right? And the way you hook it in, there's a set of, it's one wheel, and there's a handle at the top of the wheel, and it's kind of like a landing gear, right? So it's one singular wheel on a pole, and you crank it up. And as you're cranking it up, the tip of the triangle is lowering itself to sit inside the hole, right? So there's a little pole in the back of the first trailer. So you crank it down, you lower it, and then there's a latch. You flip over the latch, and then it secures. So here's the pole, here's the ring. Once the ring goes inside, there's a latch you flip up, and it secures it, right? So that's the first part. So you hook it in, you drive up, and then you drive the dolly, and you walk the dolly back into the second trailer. You then detach the hook out of the pole, and you push it in to the second trailer. And the second trailer has its own kingpin, and you got to push that fifth wheel where it lines up with the kingpin, right? So then after you push it into there, then you got to bag up as close as you can towards the dolly again. You rehook the dolly into the first trailer. And so that way, and the only reason why you're doing this is because it's hard to straight back the dolly connected to the trailer, connected to the truck. Now, there's people that can do it, but if you're a novice, you're a beginner, and you haven't got the equilibrium or the geometry that goes along with backing, a dolly attached to a trailer, this is the best way to be able to do it, right? So you bag it in and you get as close as you can. So then you rehook it on, right? You rehook the ring, you put it into the hole, and then the latch comes across, right? Latch comes across, you have a secure hook. Now, there's two different sets of air lines and electric cable that goes on both ends of the first trailer and the second trailer. So you hook that one up, hook the other one up, and then there's some chains at the bottom, right? There's some chains, and it's a little hooks at the end. There's a bar under that pole, and you gotta crisscross the hooks that's attached to the chains, and that's a secure lock, right? So you make sure that's locked in. You sit up there, you crank the handle all the way up to the top, all the way up to the top, all the way up to the top, right? Then you decide to, once you connect the cables, right? There's a set of airlines that there's some airline latches on the dolly, and then there's actual knobs that you gotta open up the valves from the first trailer in the back of the trailer, right? And this is how you're gonna get all that air pressure that's gonna connect from the truck to the first trailer onto the second trailer. So you open up the knobs on the dolly, and then you open up the knobs on the first trailer. Now, in the back of the second trailer, and this is how you're able to test if you have airflow coming throughout the entire process. You open up the back valves, you release the brakes, you release the emergency brake, and then the air should shoot out that second trailer. That means everything is flowing, right? So once you secure that up, make sure them clamps is in tight, and then you got the set of airlines and electric cable connected from that side, and don't mix them up, because the closest set of airlines and electric cables is going to go to that trailer. So don't crisscross them. Don't do nothing crazy. Just put them the way that it looks like it should go, right? So once you've established that, then, you do your tug test, you do your air brake test, you feel me? And you're supposed to tug against the second trailer on that fifth wheel, right? Because it's a fifth wheel on that dolly. Once you lock it in, put it on the pole, and you connect all the airlines and stuff like that. But before you do any of that, right? Before you do any of the air test, the valves, any of that, once you rehook that dolly up to that first trailer, and it's aligned, that fifth wheel's aligned with that second trailer, you bag it in and you immediately do a tug test. Make sure that that coupling is secure on that second trailer, because all right, you don't drop the first trailer, but you drop the second trailer. It's still, it's still a bad thing. It's more responsibility, but once you kind of get it down the first couple of times, it's a piece of cake. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's a piece of cake. But I say all that to say is that once you sit up there and you secure the coupling between that fifth wheel, and you locked it on to that first trailer, and you put the hooks in and you connect all the airlines and the cables and stuff like that, do your light test, do your air brake test, so on and so forth. And at the end of that, that's where that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Now I will say, to disassemble it, right? You never, ever, ever pop open that latch that's connected to the first trailer before you did disconnect the second trailer off the dolly from that fifth wheel. Because that mug could flip up and hey, you can fill in the blanks with your imagination. It's highly dangerous. Don't do it. You feel me? I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this video, but just use your training. There's lots of videos on it, but this is just on the surface explanation on how to connect a set of doubles. Now triples, y'all probably gonna have to go to a different video for that, but that's my experience on it. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. More videos on the way. I'm gone.